Welcome to a soupçon of arrivals at a rather blustery Birmingham. The first one's an ATR belonging to Aer Lingus Regional. Note, by the way, the stroboscopic effect that causes the propellers to look as if they've temporarily stopped. There's a very marked crab angle on here, and you need to pay particular attention to the elevator and the rudder inputs as the pilot brings it down very close to the runway, kicking off the drift a bit too early, and now we're skeetering across to the right hand side, being blown downwind. There's only one way out of this, and that's to apply full power, hold the attitude, wait for the power to bite, get a positive rate of climb and bring the gear up and eventually go around the pattern and come back for a second attempt. Next up is this squeezy jet Airbus. They are taking their turn in similar conditions, and as it's pitching and rolling around, they are tracking the centre line, but as they come in over the runway, pilot flying starts to kick off the crab about 20 feet too high, and then the kite immediately drifts off to the right, and then they drop their left wing in a roll left input, coming too fucking close for comfort. I've seen cocktails mixed with less shaking than that, and by Jove, they'll have created quite a stir on board. Now look at this thing. This is like something out of the parts bin, almost resembling a vice versa on cocktail stick spindly legs, and something you might expect Peppa Pig to go on holiday in. This is a metro liner, and it's lining up upwind of the centre line, so it's slightly into the crosswind that's blowing from left to right across the stream. Look at that runway, by the way. Looks like a motocross track. The camera is, to be honest, making those hills look worse than they really are. So off we go down the runway. It's a very small rudder in this airplane, and I fully expect it to be snaking left and right, and I'm not being disappointed here. And the pilot needs to be very, very careful that they don't get on the wrong side of this oscillation and end up making it worse rather than correcting it. This is developing as I suspected it might. Now we're really starting to shake. Imagine sitting down the back end of that airplane, and all you're hoping for now is to get to takeoff speed to be able to rotate and get the hell out of there. Hopefully that's coming up very soon, as it was barely keeping on the central line, but finally in there. Look at that crap as the wind bites and really blows the airplane nose round into wind, but it's finally on its way with a positive rate of climb and the gear up. Next on this one, again, look at the undulations of the runway. Very positive weather cocking as this Ryanair is pointing straight at us and fucking close to a tail strike with the wings rocking, biting into that crosswind. It's finally on its way into the cumulus-filled blue sky. Next is a Turkish Airlines A320, and you can watch as that ray of approach lights is being blown around both by the strong crosswind and the jet wash from the airplane. Lots and lots of rudder being required to keep this airplane going straight, and the pilot is not keeping on top of it and has actually lost it now, tracking off to the left side, finally just straightening up to try and get airborne and get the hell out of there. And the weather cocking now is seen very much as it's pointing into wind and climbing away, finally getting the gear up and out of sight. That was not particularly impressive at all. Next is another ATR belonging to Aer Lingus Regional. The stroboscopic effect on this one is less pronounced, and the propellers seem to be operating normally. But look once again at the elevator and the rudder, as they will be coming into play as the pilot flying now brings it down into the flare, kicks off the drift. But they've kicked off too much, and now they're starting to oscillate around, an induced oscillation that luckily didn't pipe it over there, and now they've lost it. What in the name of is that? Holy f***. Next in the inbound stream to land is the flying Satsuma. Yes, an EasyJet Airbus. A fair amount of crab on, but tracking the centre line nonetheless. Getting close to the ground, turbulent air mixing things up, causing the wings to rock and roll. Just coming into the flare, and no, f*** me, we're not having this. Probably a wind shear event. On goes Toga, kicking it fully lit, flying away. And finally, to wrap up this montage, is a 737 MAX belonging to Ryanair. And for now, it's looking pretty decent. There's no taxi light lit on that nose wheel. Maybe it's bust and it'll get fixed on the turnaround by the ground engineer. It's looking reasonably stable as it comes over the top of the camera operator. But as we start to get down into the ground effect, we begin to see the oscillations both in roll and pitch. Let's see now, as it gets close to the landing surface, just what happens. Initially, it seems to be tracking the centre line pretty well, but oh, there we go. Over keen to kick off the crab. Pilot flying now has generated a magnetic attraction to the right-hand side of the runway, and we still haven't got the wheels on the deck and running out of touchdown zone. They've done the right thing, swallowed their pride, pressed Toga, and climbing away to fight another day.